So hello everyone, my name is Daiji Kimura. I'm a sales manager at DrupalCamp. I have more than 5 years of experience in selling B2B and enterprise services. I'm going to cover sales acumen for developers, not only for developers, for all the freelancers and agency owners as well. It will be applicable. So let's move forward. So the agenda is the following. We'll start from the introduction, the value of knowing sales, the process of selling complex Drupal projects. So I'm going to cover all the full cycle, what are the steps of the selling processes, how to understand the client's real intentions, so how to ask questions, how to listen to the clients in order to understand the real motivation. And the last topic will be new business opportunities for freelancers and business owners. So I'm going to cover how to try to make more money with Drupal agencies. We can do some kind of joint activities together in order to win new opportunities. And last but not least, we have a Q&A session, so feel free to ask me any questions. Okay, so intro. So who is this speech for? Delivery team members, so all the developers, designers, PMs, QAs. And the second part will be for freelancers and business owners. I would like to tell you how the process of sales looks like. Also explain how to win the deals with the Drupal agencies. We all have common goal for that. We all need to be better at sales and sell more Drupal services in order to have a better position in the market. As simple as that. So why are we here? We all came here to gain new knowledge, obviously, to improve our skills and have some networking. But please remember about one very important thing, that none of those things would benefit you if you cannot sell. By selling, I mean the communication as well. So you have to be bold enough to tell about your advantages, about your skills to others, promote it in a micro and macro scale, so that actually you can benefit from the skills that you already have. If nobody sees the real value that you're offering, it's very difficult to make any success. So you're not going to get any, better jobs or new jobs or better deals. So it's super crucial. So everything goes to the communication, which is super crucial here. The communication is not just saying words, but to actually understand how to speak to someone so that the person will actually get it. So we have to learn how to communicate. As I said, communication is not only speaking words, but the following. We have to know how to influence someone's perception of you. So not necessarily it matters what we are saying, but how the other people can perceive us, right? So your body language matters, how you look matters as well. You have to also understand what are the needs of the other person in order to fulfill all the gaps. It's very popular that every human being has some kind of risk aversion. So it's applicable for example, for new clients. If someone new is coming to our company and talking to us, they have a lot of different experiences and they would like to avoid the risks from the past. So for example, if the client is coming to us and saying that they had a bad experience with the previous agency, we have to first understand what went wrong and make sure that the same thing will not happen. It's always good to be empathetic, so you have to be actively listening to the clients, asking the right questions and showing the problem-solving mindset. And you have to be concise with your speech, right? So please avoid the technical terms during the calls, during the conversation with the clients. Avoid buzzwords. Don't be verbose if you don't have to. So here's the definition of sales. So sales is a transaction between two or more parties that involves the exchange of tangible or intangible goods, services, or assets for money. Selling is actually everywhere. It occurs 24 hours a day across the globe in all kinds of industries. It plays an essential role in any kind of businesses. For Drupal-specific business, selling phase is the beginning of the project. So at the stage of discussion with the clients, we define the project scope, deliverables, the team composition, and last but not least, we set the framework of collaboration between the agency and the client. So the more we manage expectation and the more we set up the rules, the easier the collaboration will be for our developers and the project managers. So it's super important. And the role of developers, PMs, business analysts during assessing the project is invaluable here at the sales phase. So here are the benefits of knowing sales as a developers. So first of all, business acumen. So essentially programming is solving business problems via technology. So it's always good to not only be smart technical wise, but also to understand the market and the needs. You have to be up to date with the market trends, but more importantly with the real needs. Sometimes the needs can be super boring, but if you can provide a solution to those boring problems, you can get a lot of success with that. You can also be exposure to new business opportunities if you're active sales wise. So not only the technical daily tasks, but you can also join calls and meet a lot of new people, find out new opportunities. So it can always be beneficial for you. Higher salaries, you can climb up the career ladder if you know sales on top of your tech skills. And we have networking, so strong allies will be always beneficial. Customer-oriented mindset. How to ensure an excellent customer experience. So no matter if you're an employee, freelancer, or business owner, if you're facing the client, you need to remember those principles. Speed, it's very important in sales, so you have to immediately respond to the client's inquiries. For me, new business is always a high priority, so whatever I'm doing, I try to always get back to the clients as soon as possible. Maciej is always putting a lot of emphasis on that, and it really does the good work. So the first impression, the good first impression is crucial. Dialogue over text. Obviously, you have some situation where you have to write emails, etc. However, if you can, try to schedule meetings, try to talk to the clients, try to make a phone calls. It's always easier to transfer emotions and immediately respond to what the client is saying. So it's always easier to handle the objections. Also, when you're issuing a proposal, you can send a proposal, but we always try to make a proposal walkthrough meeting where we discuss all the details and we can respond to the client's feedback immediately. It's also easier to test the water when you're giving the proposal to the clients. Professionalism. It sounds very simple and cliche, but always have your camera on because that's super important also to overcome the cognitive bias of the clients. If you don't see the other person, it's very difficult to have a good conversation. Prepare agenda for the meetings beforehand so that the client can also be prepared for the meeting. Send summaries after the calls. Over communication is also very important. So whenever we have any updates, any small updates, it's always good to give some heads up to the client and let him know. Proactivity and consultative approach. So problem-solving mindset. So customer hates sloppiness and reactiveness. Sometimes we do have a case where the client doesn't have a documentation or a scope of the project. And the worst thing that we can do as a development agency is to say that we cannot proceed, we cannot estimate because you lack some materials on your end. You can always try to propose workaround solutions. So if the client, for example, doesn't have a documentation, you can say, no worries, I can help you with that. You can give me your website and we can reverse engineer that as much as we can. We can at least give you a ballpark so that you understand the size of the endeavor. Transparency, so manage the expectation, avoid over-promising. and be transparent with the numbers, with your rates, especially as a salesperson. Common sense. Please don't complicate things unless there are clear justifications behind them. Try not to fixate too much on a particular technology. Please remember that business is first. Keep things simple and solve the problems in the easiest and the cost-efficient way possible. Okay, so here's the sales cycle of selling complex Drupal project. So obviously we start with acquiring some new contacts, new lead generation. It can be done inbound or outbound. So inbound is, for example, if you have your website, you have your blog post, you have some materials that the client can read, and then they can send you inquiries, some marketing activities as well. Outbound can be more related to sales activities, so all of the cold emails, approaches, cold callings, going out for networks, for conferences like this, and talking to the people is always beneficial. First response and discovery meeting. So once the client is potentially interested to talk with us, we have to respond to them, obviously, and then we schedule a sales discovery meeting. We don't really necessarily need developers at this stage. It can be fully managed by a salesperson. We obviously have our set of questions that we ask to the client. However, the very common framework is called BANT. It relates to budget, authority, needs, and timeline. We always try to use this framework to qualify the client. Once we understand that the client is good to proceed with us, we engage the pre-sales team. So pre-sales team consists of developers, designers, DevOps, PMs, etc. So people who are competent to actually estimate the project. We gather the scope, we do some kind of iterations, back and forth with the questions with the clients. We can have 2 or 3 meetings as well in this stage. Once we're ready with all the necessary information, we proceed with the estimate. We define the initial team composition, the timeline for the project. Yes, so once the estimation is done, I am responsible also for proposal creation and presentation with the client. As I said before, it's super crucial here. It's a very sensitive part. So instead of just sending out the proposal, it's always better to schedule a call and walk through. Then we have negotiations and contracts. We mitigate all the risks, manage the expectations of the clients. And once the paperwork is done, we schedule a kickoff meeting with the development team. The sales is responsible to introduce the client and smoothly hand over to the development team. How to understand the client's real intentions. So it's always good to master the questioning and listening skills. So as you can see, the iceberg, so on the top, you have what the client says. Underneath that, you have the things that actually client thinks. So when I'm starting the meeting, I always try to just briefly introduce myself, introduce the agenda, and then ask an open question to the client so that he or she can speak narratively. And once you have the statement, you should write down the most important things that the client is saying to you and follow up with the questions. So try not to proceed too quick with the conversation. If the client is saying something interesting, try to follow up, understand it better. Try to ask why instead of what and how, because sometimes the client can say that, I don't know, they want to have a beautiful front end, but maybe there's some other reasons for that, and maybe there's some other solutions to that. So it's always good to understand the fundamentals of the motivation of a given client. And my favorite question is asking about the client's value system. So at the end of the conversation, I'm always trying to understand what is the description of the perfect agency that the client is looking for, and also I really like to understand the decision-making factors. So, how do you make decision? Who is making decision? What is the deal breaker? Is this financial issues or timeline issues or security? You have multiple reasons for that, and once you understand clients' why, you can easier adjust to that. Yeah, so the second part of this presentation is for freelancers and business owners. I'm going to talk about more like how to collaborate with the Drupal agency for joint activities. This is super like oversimplified supply chain for Drupal services. So we have Drupal as an open source platform. We have developers who are providing the services to software agencies, and the software agency can provide the services to any intermediary entity. It can be a digital agency, it can be design shop, marketing agency, etc., etc. And then they can provide the service to business, and business providing service to consumers, and it's going like this. You are paid in the direct proportion to the difficulty of the problems you solve. So in each step you have different responsibilities to fulfill. The developers are writing code and executing the tasks. And the software agency is responsible for recruitment, creating the workspace, overhead costs, and developers' retention. An intermediary entity is binded to contractual liability, ownership of the service and delivery. The business obviously has cost of goods sold. You can make a deal with the Drupal agencies. You have different ways to earn with Drupal. So the agency can act as a white label partner for you, so it can provide you with the development services and the resources. You can stand between those two parties and make a deal, basically. And the added value for the end client from you in the middle is that you remove all the problems that they have, security issues, you save time for hiring new developers, reliability, development team retention. And here are some opportunities examples. So I think the low-hanging fruit is support the existing websites built on Drupal. If you go to buildwith.com, you can check that there are more than 500,000 live Drupal websites in the world. You can always try to reach out to those companies and propose the support services to them. You can do that directly if you think that you're able to do that. If you're a developer, that's cool. But also you can collaborate with Drupal agency. You can collaborate with Droptica. You can scan the QR code to see the proposal that we have. Here's the division of the countries, so you can see that there are about 200,000 websites in the United States. Then you have the European countries. In Poland, you have more than 7,000 websites. High-level ideas for Drupal business development. So you can have plan A, which is outbound. You can create a list of live Drupal websites with the contact details. You can reach out to them via outbound emails. You can focus on addressing pain points regarding to Drupal support. And you can call the clients. Once you got the reply from the prospect, you can proceed directly or along with the Drupal agency. The plan B is inbound. You can create a website and write a bunch of blog posts. You can use, I don't know, ChatGPT to expedite the process. So it can be done relatively quickly. You can create a contact form where the potential customers can submit the inquiries. Once you have those inquiries, you can hand off them to Drupal agency. You can earn per each lead. So you can set up some fixed fee for the lead, or take a commission from the invoices, which can generate a passive income for you as well. Obviously, if you have set up position in the market, you can use your direct network, and then you can try to make a deal with us. The second service that you can fulfill is staff augmentation. So if you stumble upon any company that needs to hire a Drupal developer, you can ask the Drupal agency for so-called blind CVs. This is the CV with skill sets of the developers. We can describe them. We can describe their seniority level, hourly rates, etc. And then you can propose it to the end client. The value proposition for the client is that the developer works adhering to the client standards and processes, so under their own project management, security, procedures, etc. Basically, he or she will act like an in-house team member. You can scale up and scale down the team or FTEs, so monthly working hours as you need, so you don't have to keep your developers busy all the time if you don't have the pipeline with tasks, basically. Transparent vetting processes, rapid time to hire. Obviously, if we have developers available, it usually takes between 1 or 2 weeks. And all our developers are internally vetted and trained in the following realms. So with the data security and GDPR compliance, Scrum and Agile project management, and CI processes and best programming practices. The third service is the biggest, for full project development. If a potential client is interested in a Drupal project from scratch, we can join forces together and try to win that opportunity. We are very happy to help to win the deal, so we can help to assess the client and the project first. We can run meetings, answer technical questions as well, and also proceed with the RFP processes, which we are experienced in. We can organize scoping calls with our development team, so we can include all the necessary specialists, so pre-sales and business analyst role. We can pitch the client, present the offer, ensure the reliability and scalability of our partnership, and also provide with the long-term perspective, so post-development maintenance. Okay, so how to get sharper sales-wise? So I really recommend practicing. So practice makes perfect. If you're a developer, you can voluntarily assist during sales or pre-sales activities. It's always good to shadow the sales calls. So if you want to join and listen to our conversation that we have, you can also do that. Role-play games, you can also do that within your company, or you can do that with your friends. One person can act as a client. You can act as a pre-sales or sales representative. You can observe the other businesses, so don't be just a mindless consumer. Every time you pay anywhere, even in the coffee shop, try to understand how and why they made you to pay actually. And network and collaborate often with the sales and business people. Books I recommend. 49 Timeless Selling Principles by David Sandler. It's a great book, I really recommend that. For complex sales especially. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and Spin Selling. Spin selling is very good for understanding how to ask questions so that the client can actually close themselves the deal. Okay, so that's it. Now it's time for questions. Here I'm going to leave some information about me so that you can contact me afterwards. Thank you.